Just a pass out.
Okay, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, dear students, let us start. So I welcome you all to the digital platform of IGNO class V14, Societal Context of Education. In last class, we have talked about what is the actual meaning of education in social perspectives, what is socialization, how socialization works. One second, one second. So, sorry for interruption. So, last class we have talked about education, the concept, the meaning of socialization, social structure, social stratification, the criteria of social stratification, what are the stages of socialization. So many things we have discussed yesterday. And today also we'll talk about another part of this paper. So I am trying to share my screen. Please, if visible, please tell me.
Yes, sir. Visible ହେଲା.
Visible, eh? Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, thank you. So here we will see the political and economic perspectives on education. How something is important, how politics and economics and politics is responsible, or what are the political involvement, economical involvement in the field of education. We will see economics of education. You know, dear students, that your institution cannot move, your college, your school cannot move, cannot work and function without financial help. So when you talk about in the present society, the quality of education, we are thinking about quality of education. That means we have to access the education very smoothly, easily. For that, the need of the opportunities or facilities is headed by financial helps. So the fund of your school or your college or your institution determines to a large extent the quality of education. Without financial assistance, the institution cannot move. I'm taking an example. If your salary is not increased, or you are getting same salary for days, it will not motivate you. Or you can talk about if your institution have certain very poor facilities, infrastructural facilities, or you may talk about instruments, study books, library facilities very poor, teaching aids are very poor, so you can't move towards the quality education. So for the quality education, when you think about the quality education, you must have these facilities, these opportunities. That's how you can say that funding determines to a context the quality of education. In turn, we can say the quality of education determines the types of job, promotions, and perks to employees. So, in effect, funding avenues affect learners' progress and income, isn't it? The quality education you will get, the quality job you will achieve, the quality learning you will give to your students, the quality education will be happen, the quality facilities you will provide to your students, the quality products will be in your school. So behind this success of your school, behind the benefit of the learners, students progress, institutional progress, institutions name and fame, or your promotions, your development, your job qualities, job types depends upon the education what you have achieved. If you are nurtured or developed a very poor education standard, or you are not able to communicate in English properly, or you have very poor vocabulary skill, so it will be difficult for you to attend an interview in your life. So when you attend interview, you cannot express the your thoughts, your ideas, your knowledge, whatever you have learned. So you may be rejected in the in the viva or in the interview in the exam. Anyway, the quality of education determines the types or quality of jobs, of promotion, the quality of work you are doing, and your success. If you are doing quality job, quality work you are doing, and your promotions will be and works to the employees. Benefits will be the given to the employees. So in fact, this fund, the financial assistance, definitely affect the learner's progress and income. Next, we will talk the rate of returns to education. If finance is used ବହୁତ ଗୁଡ଼ାଏ ତମେ ଲର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ ମେଟେରିଆଲ କିଣିଲ, ବହି କିଣିଲ, ବୁକ୍ସ କିଣିଲ ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ, ଟିଚିଂ ଏଡ୍ସ ବି କିଣିଲ, ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକି ଭଲ ସ୍କୁଲରେ ପୁରା ହାଇ କ୍ୱାଲିଟି ଏଜୁକେସନ ଦେଲ, ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ ସ୍କୁଲରେ ପଢିଲେ କି ଇଣ୍ଟରନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ସ୍କୁଲରେ ପଢିଲେ କି କେବିରେ ପଢିଲେ କି ଜେଏନରେ ପଢିଲେ or any good reputed international institutes ରେ ପଢିଲେ and they have developed a high quality knowledge, so it is give return, the benefits or returns of education. It gives you the opportunity, the scopes that you can learn easily. ऑडियो वीडियो ऑफ ହେଇଥିଲା କି?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now slides visible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So when you talk about the benefits or returns of education, so it is already noted that the contribution of education to human economic welfare may be grouped into the monetary and non-monetary benefits. जोटा मॉनिटरी बेनिफिट्स और नॉन मॉनिटरी बेनिफिट्स ମୁଁ ଟିକେ ତାକୁ ଦି ଭାଗ କରିଦେବି କହିଦେବି ଗୋଟେ ହଉଛି ଆମେ डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट मानते ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ इनडायरेक्ट बेनिफिट मानते सो डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ऑफ एजुकेशन कोन अछि डायरेक्ट रिटर्न्स आछि so the direct benefit of education are those benefit of education or returns from the education which are realized directly by the students financial options and scholarships, direct financial return of the education, isn't it? Financial option return to the education students are getting indirect or external benefit of education. मने करो any investment in education gives rise to many benefits which are often not visible generally. Directly visible हुए ना. But further, these benefits are not appropriate or captured by the parents or students making investment on schooling. So some such benefits of education is actually talks about the external or indirect form benefits, benefits of education, which acquire to other those who actually make investment or education are called the external benefits of education. এটা কোন ପାଇଁ ଦରକାର ଆମର ନା it will help us ଗୋଟେ student କୁ help କରିବ to determine the true rate of return of education. So the collective responsibility efficacy ବଢିଯିବ allocative efficiency will grow. So we can say that education in some essence gives some production development. Educational expenditure is investment. Educational expenditure is also we can talk about investment. It may be argued that so there is a strong positive relation between education and economic growth. आमे जानिछंती during the middle age economic progress was very slow and this slowness was partly due to the deliberate disregard of learning. शिक्षा को पूरा हेतବେଳେ इंपोर्टेंस दियाला नाही तो आपण माने जानिथिबे जे एजुकेशन गोटे फंडामेंटल राइट रे नथिला से प्रथमे फंडामेंटल डीपीएसबी रे थिला डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी आर्टिकल 45 रे थिला जोटा कि फंडामेंटल राइट नुह डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी डीपीएसबी जदि जनकर एजुकेशन गोटे राइट नाही ताहले देश केमि स्ट्रांग हबो हे परिबनी आसेति एजुकेशन समस्त गले पैसा दरकार अछि सो एजुकेशनल एक्सपेंडिचर इज इन्वेस्टमेंट इजंट इट आपण यदि गोटे पिला को पाठ पढौचंती ऋण करिकी बा हॉस्टल में पाठ पढौचंती कॉलेज पाठ पढौचंती इज नॉट एक्सपेंडिचर इट इज एक्चुअली a type of investment. Educational expenditure is always an investment. So मैं कौन कहूली आम मिडिल एज समय इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ इकोनॉमिक प्रोग्रेस वाज वेरी स्लो एंड ए स्लोनेस काहे गेला दिस स्लो पार्टली ड्यू टू द डेलिबरेट डिसरिगार्ड ऑफ लर्निंग शिक्षा को पूरा कम गुरुत्व दिया हैतिला बा डेलिबरेटली गुरुत्व दिया है नथिला. Just think about the Lord Macaulay or Wood Dispatch तांका परे पर समय रे. Or you may talk about Kothari Commission also. After the Kothari Commissions, it's too late that the education in a fundamental right. मोटे क्लास रो अछि पठोछि पर हला. So we are talking about during the 18th and 19th century, education and science, they are playing very significant role in achieving mechanical advance and thereby in accelerating the industrial growth rates. Various countries like Britain, Germany, France, America. So education also accelerate the commercial and agricultural growth. जणे यदि बिजनेस रो क्राइटेरिया न जानिबो, बिजनेस केमने हैंडल करा जाय न बुझियो से पाठ न पडियो, बिजनेस करि बसला भालो दिन करिबो कि से पारिबोनी. जते परिश्रम लोक होइतो ना काहे. We have to use the brain, we have to use the principles as well in agricultural growth also. If you are educated, you know the process of proper agricultural system, you know the seeding, you know the planting, you know the selection of the plants, you know the fertilizers, you know the climates, you know the earth, you know the soil, you know the poisons, whatever requirements of the culture, agriculture, you know, so you can do appropriate job for that purpose. So we can say that education has a positive effects on innovation and invention of both machinery and method of production. So we can say that education improves the quality of life, the service of life, the productivity of life, its effect on one's ability to adapt the mind to use our best faculty in our job. In another way, we can say education, some other factors such as training, technical education, artistic studies, exchange of ideas, traveling, they are also crucial role in improving the financial or the GDP of the nation. So we can say these factors like education plays a positive role in acquisition of knowledge, adaptation, and improvement existing machineries also. So these are directly, these are indirectly, it a kind of investment. Education expenditure is always, we can say that is investment. Next slide move hela.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Financing of education. So you can talk about that, the financing of education. I mean, what is simple that every society from earlier times and have been faced with the question. am monar bi question ଅଛି ଆପଣ ମାନଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ଥିବ ମୋ ମନରେ ବି ଅଛି ଆଗରୁ ବି ଥିଲା କଣ ସେ क्वेश्चन କିଏ ସେ who should pay for the educational programs ପାଠ ପଢିବା ପାଇଁ ପଇସା କିଏ ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରିବ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଆଡାମ ସ୍ମିଥ ଜଣେ ସୋସିଓଲୋଜିଷ୍ଟ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ବହି ଲେଖିଛନ୍ତି ସେ ଫେମସ ବହିର ନାଁ ହେଉଛି ୱେଲ୍ଥ ଅଫ ନେସନ୍ସ ସେ ବହିରେ ସେ ମେନସନ କରିଛନ୍ତି कौन मेंशन है ना द एक्सपेंसेस खर्च ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूशन ऑफ एजुकेशन में विदाउट इनजस्टिस be defrayed by a general contribution of the whole society. So कौन ना the expense of the institution of education may be without injustice कौन सी प्रकार injustice न कराए कि education प्रति पैसा खर्च करा जीवा उचित. So this expense however might perhaps the equal opportunity equal advantage for the peoples. We can say that certain agencies they are financing the education. आम इंडिया जेहेतु लोक आम इंडिया पर्सपेक्टिव चिंता करवा टिके. In India, the responsibility of financing and managing education has been defined by the Indian Constitution, isn't it? We know it. First कौन ना सेंट्रल लिस्ट आ गोटे होची स्टेट लिस्ट आ गोटे कौन अछि आ गोटे कौन अछि
Concurrent list.
Concurrent
Very good.
list.
So one is central list, another is state list, another is and the last one is concurrent list. प्रथम एजुकेशन कोड थिला ना सेंट्रल लिस्ट थिला तापर आसिला स्टेट लिस्ट की ता स्टेट लिस्ट सेंट्रल कहला नाही आपण माने निजे आपण राज्यर शिक्षा देखंतु सब स्टेट कंटर ऊपर प्रेशर पड़ी जाउछ. तेणु केंद्र किसी सीट भी रहिला स्टेट रे किसी सीट रहिला. So now both are taking the responsibility decisions for moving education as a fundamental right. It is in concurrent list. Okay, central list where the responsibility lies with the central government. The state list where the responsibilities rest with the state government. And the concurrent list is that where both the central government and the state government share the responsibilities for making provision of education. एजुकेशन पे जो प्रोडक्ट आसीबो जो प्रमोशंस आसीबो जो क्वालिटी आसीबो जहाँ भी स्टेप निया जियो पॉलिसी फ्रेम करा हबो इट विल both joint responsibility, isn't it? Then we will talk about financing of education by the parents. Parent को ऊपर किसी ना किसी एजुकेशन डिपेंड करुची that how much the parents are aware to invest money on education. Are they hesitating? नहीं नहीं पाठ पढ़ारे कि मोर एत पैसा खर्च करिवो से छुआ 4 वर्ष बीएड पढ़ू 4 वर्ष पर्यंत से प्रिपेयर करू जो दिन गवर्नमेंट बीडी हो करियो बा सेल्फ फाइनान्सिंग बीडी 3 वर्ष एमएड बीएड एमएड कर दिया ହେଇଛି ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ 1.5 लाख टका खर्च किए करिवो अन्य जगह देखिया. So age is moving, but is not admitting any institution. So the financing of children education by the parents depends on 4 important factors. Financial resources of the parents, पैसा अच्छी कि नहीं, willingness of the parents to make sacrifice, willingness of the parents to make sacrifice for the future of their children. बापा माने सतरे बापा माने सतरे पिला मानक पाठ पढ़ा पाई पैसा खर्च करिया को से माने आग्रही तो. एजुकेशनल बैकग्राउंड ऑफ द पेरेंट्स पिता माता तांकर जे अछंती सेमानकर एजुकेशनल स्टैंडर्ड कोन अछि से माने ग्रेजुएट पढिचंती कि मास्टर डिग्री पढिचंती कि टीचर अछंती कि कृषक अछंती कि टोटल आदौ पाठ पढ़ी नाहंती. It have to be think about. And the fourth is parents ability to distinctly foresee the future. ଆଉ କଣ ନା ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟର ଆବିଲିଟିଜ କ'ଣ ଅଛି ଯେ ସେମାନେ ବୁଝିପାରିବେ ଜାଣିପାରିବେ parents ability to discriminate or you can vividly see the future of the child ସମସ୍ତେ କ'ଣ ପିଲାଙ୍କର ଭବିଷ୍ୟତ ଚିନ୍ତା କରନ୍ତି or they are responsible for this if responsible they will move okay now financing of education by employers also is there so what are activities going on financing education of employees na the employees may finance research and development RD the education training of their employees this may do for reasons such as expected benefits that is if in their own opinion they think that it will pay them to do so and another is their ambitious character that may make them aiming to leading the race, pioneering the new art, production and management. Somehow, their philanthropic nature and benevolence, which may taken, which make them to make a generous interest in the education as well-being of their employees. So it is the financing of education by the employees also in some extent. Now we'll see the cost and cost effectiveness. What is that? The current and the capital cost of education. We have to see the cost of education may be classified into what? The current cost and the capital cost. Current cost कौन? Now the current cost consists of those outlays or expenditures which are incurred on current activities. Current activities such as कौन? Now payment of salaries of teachers and non-teaching staff, depreciation of buildings हो, equipments हो, infrastructure जिनसे हो, बा lab equipments हो. ना इनफ्रास्ट्रक्चरटा आसबनी करेन्ट्रे एटा कैपिटल आसो बिल्डिंग तैयारी हो क्लासरूम तैयारी हो ये सब आसो कैपिटल कॉस्ट so the capital cost on the other hand consists of outlays incurred for future ଯେମିତି କି expenditure incurred for development of your infrastructure new buildings construction of new buildings and classrooms libraries hostels school office laboratories purchase of equipments etc right so the expenditures may have been fully incurred during the current year itself what such expenditures should not be classified under the head of the current cost unless the part of all such expenditures are used to do during the current year. Next is the direct and indirect cost. डायरेक्ट एंड इनडायरेक्ट कॉस्ट कौन जोड़ा डायरेक्ट आसुचे डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट द डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट ऑफ एजुकेशन कंसिस्ट ऑफ एक्सपेंडिचर्स explicitly incurred by the students or their families and the educational institutions for education. So कौन से the students and their families incur expenditure on account of tuition fee, books, additional cost of hostels, boarding, school uniform, clothing, transportation from school to the institute. These are the direct cost. Indirect cost कौन? The indirect cost are often called as opportunity cost of education. So the indirect cost are also called as imputed cost. Sometimes parikha question ase this nature. The indirect cost are often called the opportunity cost of education. The indirect cost are also called as imputed cost. One second. ଟିକେ ଶୋଷ ଲାଗିଲାଣି ମୋ ପାଣି ଖାଲି ଗୋଟେ ସେକେଣ୍ଡ. Okay. So we are talking about the direct and indirect cost. Indirect cost are often called as the imputed cost, or we can talk about opportunity cost of education. Unlike the direct cost, the indirect cost of education are implicit rather than explicit. The indirect cost of education consists of those who are earning foregone by the students. The students, instead of enrolling and attending school college, could have taken up a job, part-time job, and made some income by attending the school. The student forgoes the income that he may have otherwise earned while estimating the imputed value of students foregoing earning. So one should be adjusted for the fact that students may be working part-time and hence not foregoing his or her entire potential earning. So, assuming the prevalence of its high unemployment, the students would not have to go, not have got any job at all. So, this would mean that the student could not have any income, and income foregone would have even zero or much less than what could be if there was full employment. ଆଜିକାଲି ପାଠ ପଢ଼ିକି ବହୁତ ପିଲା ଜବ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ପାର୍ଟ ଟାଇମ୍ ଜବ୍ ବି କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ଜବ୍ ବି କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି. So what is the ratio is there? The total cost of education consists of both the direct cost and the indirect cost of education. Right. Now we will talk about the private cost of education. Private cost is same thing. The private cost include all the expenditure incurred by the students or parents to meet the tuition fee, uh, uh, the non-tuition fee cost, and earning foregone. These are the private cost of education. Social cost of education कौन? And social cost of education is sum total of the private and the institutional cost of education. You got that? The private cost माने होची कौन? Net tuition cost, non-tuition cost. The institutional cost consists of both current or operating cost and the capital cost of education borne by the school or society. So, social cost education is sum total of the private and institutional cost of education. So, there is a unit cost of education. What is that? Unit cost of education, institutional cost, and student cost. The unity cost of education is cost per unit. The unit cost is generally calculated per student enrolled, but it may be calculated per graduated student, per course, and per institution. So it is arrived by dividing the total cost of education by the total number of students. So the total cost of education consists of what? The total cost of education consists of the sum total of all the expenditure incurred by the students or parents, and that is incurred by the institutions, government or society. So institutional cost रे कौन कौन आସୁଛି? Capital cost, equipment cost, operating cost. Student cost रे कौन आसिला? Tuition cost, other fees, cost of book, equipment, stationery, extra cost, maintenance, income forgone, all these things. So we can say that ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମକୁ cost of unit of cost ଆସିଯିବ, so unit cost analysis ଆମକୁ ସାହାଯ୍ୟ କରିବ କ'ଣ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ନା to ensure the optimum utilization of resource and ଯାହା resources ତାର profit appropriate use ହେଇଛି କି ନାହିଁ, and also deciding the optimum size of educational institution, what the standard and the actual size. Now we'll see the internal and external efficiency of education. So we'll feel that the internal and external efficiency of education. The internal and external efficiency of a school system can be described in such forms, that is internal efficiency of education, external efficiency of education. So the internal efficiency of school system covers the study of problems which are relating to wastage and stagnation. ଆପଣ ମାନଙ୍କର ସ୍କୁଲ ବି ଯାଇ ଦେଖିଥିବେ କିଛି ପିଲା ଆଡମିସନ କଲା ପରେ ଆସୁନାହାନ୍ତି, ଅଳ୍ପ ବୟସରେ ସେମାନେ ରହିଗଲେ, ୱେଷ୍ଟେଜ। ଆଉ କିଛି ପିଲା ରହୁଛନ୍ତି, ଗୋଟେ ଫେଲ୍ ହେଉଛନ୍ତି, ତାର ଫେଲ୍ ହେଉଥିଲେ ଆଗରୁ, ଏବେ ତ ଫେଲ୍ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ବନ୍ଦ ହେଇଗଲାଣି, but they are being stagnant and ସେମାନେ ଡ୍ରପ୍ ଆଉଟ୍ସ ଛାଡ଼ିକି ପଳାଉଛନ୍ତି। So utilization of school building and equipment, conservation, development, distribution and utilization of teaching and non-teaching manpower is in school system, the student teacher ratio, the teacher salary, management system, school केमिति private government की semi government की completely state government or central government. So how the library is used by the teachers, or library facilities कौन अच्छी students को use करचंती, schooling hour कौन, केते समय क्लास होची, टाइम टेबल कौन अच्छी, ପିଲାମାନେ କେମିତି ସମୟ ବ୍ୟବହାର କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ସକାଳେ କେତେବେଳେ ଉଠୁଛନ୍ତି, କେତେବେଳେ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ବ୍ରେକଫାଷ୍ଟ ଦିଆହେଉଛି, କେତେବେଳେ ସେମାନେ ପ୍ଲେ ଗ୍ରାଉଣ୍ଡ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି, କେତେବେଳେ ସେମାନେ ପ୍ରେୟାର କରୁଛନ୍ତି। So everything depends upon the internal efficiency of education. All these people's location of school ଟି remote area ରେ ଅଛି, school ଟି ଜଙ୍ଗଲ area ରେ ଅଛି, school ଟି hill area ରେ ଅଛି, school ଟି city area ରେ ଅଛି, school ଟି urban ରେ ଅଛି, school ଟି rural ରେ ଅଛି, it also, and re-enrollment trend also is there. So the internal efficiency of education is somehow, and external efficiency of education is the study of internal efficiency. We got it. They are dealing with a qualitative aspect of internal working of the school system. The external efficiency of the system माने कौन कहूची, इटा होची coordination between the school stage, educational sector, economic and higher educational sector. So it had got both qualitative and quantitative aspect. कोटा efficiency, external efficiency. In terms of quantity, it attempts to measure how far the system produces the required numbers of pupils needed for the remaining sector. So the qualitative aspect of the system tries to show whether the educational sector is producing the type of output needed according to the present and future need of the economy, how it may have involved in the study of utilization aspect of output of educational institutions when the products of educational institutions get settled or in employment. So we can say that a study of after education wastage in the form of increasing average waiting period of employment ଏ ପିଲାମାନେ ବହୁତ ପାଠ ପଢି ରହୁଛନ୍ତି employment seekers they are underutilization of those employment etc will be immense use in the study of unit cost of education positively, right? Now we'll see political economy of education, or we can talk about the rights to education, legal status and implications. There are certain international laws also. So as education is now the part of human rights, article 21A, right to education. In this section we briefly examine what that every student of the nation, irrespective of caste, creed, gender, and discriminations, they will attend the schooling of 6 to 14 years free. The state is endeavored to provide free and compulsory education to all the children, irrespective of any kind of discriminations. So there are international laws and provisions, legal right to education. So UDHR, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, adopted the General Assembly in the General Assembly of United Nations in USA in 1940. It had historic importance in setting out standard of this achievement in human rights. The international community and commitment to implement the right as freedom is set out in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which has over the years taken various forms, ranging from international treaties to internationally agreed programs, and finally, framework of action. So, those are relating to the right of education areas of particular concern, right to education. UDHR रे Article 26 है तेरा. The right to education is spelled out in Article 26 of the UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So what are that? Article 26, the right of education. Everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stage. Elementary education shall be compulsory, technical and professional education shall be made generally applicable, available, and higher education shall be equally accessible to all on the basis of merit. ଏତେ କଥା କେବେଠୁ କୁହାଗଲାଣି ନା ଏ କଥା ହେଲାଣି human universal declaration of human rights, isn't it? 1948 ରୁ 10th December 1948 United Nations Assembly रे କଥା डिस्कस ହେଇଛି, बट इन इंडिया 1950 ରେ ବି ହେଇପାରିଲା ନାହିଁ। 50 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ 2000 ମସିହାରେ ଚିନ୍ତା କରାଗଲା। ରାଇଟ୍ ଟୁ ଏଜୁକେସନ୍ ଆକ୍ଟ, ଆର୍ଟି ଆକ୍ଟ କେବେ ଆସିଲା? 2009, 2009 ରେ ଆସିଲା। RTE Act, Right to Education। 2002 ରେ ଥିଲା 86 Amendment Act। Education was in at DPSP, Directive Principal State Policy। So education shall be directed to the full development of human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. It shall promote understanding, tolerance, and friendship among all nations, crucial or religious groups, and shall have furthered the activities of United Nations for the maintenance of peace. And parents have a prior right to choose the kind of education that shall be given to their children. ଆମର କେବେ ଆସିଲା ସେ ଆରଟି ଆକ୍ଟ ରେ ଗୋଟେ କନସେପ୍ଟ ରହିଲା କଣ ରହିଲା ନା SMC ସ୍କୁଲ ମ୍ୟାନେଜମେଣ୍ଟ କମିଟି ପ୍ରାଇମେରୀ ସ୍କୁଲରେ ହାଇ ସ୍କୁଲରେ ରହିଲା SMDC ସ୍କୁଲ ମ୍ୟାନେଜମେଣ୍ଟ ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟ କମିଟି ସେଥିରେ କଣ ହବ ନା ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟାଲ ଇନଭଲଭମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଇପାରିବ କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ଇନଭଲଭମେଣ୍ଟ ରହିପାରିବ so just imagine how far we are from the system. Next we will talk about basic education as a fundamental right. या concept कौन बेसिक कंपलसरी प्राइमरी एलिमेंटारी कि विभिन्न प्रकार कथा कहते बेसिक फंडामेंटल कंपलसरी प्राइमरी एलिमेंटारी फॉर डिफरेंट कॉन्स्टेंट्स ऑफ डिफरेंट कंट्रीज राइट से बेसिक बा एलिमेंटारी एजुकेशन कौन हम इंडिया पर्सपेक्टिव रे बेसिक फ्री एंड कंपलसरी एजुकेशन आर्टिकल 21 ने आपण माने समस्त प्राय पढिथिबे सुनिथिबे जानिथिबे नहले basic and elementary education the basic education as we have seen above kon this is not limited to specific stage or level of education but refers to education of all case all children youth as well as adults even the nation of elementary education in United Union Declaration Human Rights or UDHR was not intended to refer any particular stage or level in the system of formal education. So it is generally understood, broadly meant an education that would give a children a good start in life. Education that could give children a good start in life. तापर आसिला फ्री एजुकेशन आ तापर अछि कंपलसरी एजुकेशन मु तीनटा जिंस आपण मानक टिके टिके बुझिया चेष्टा करूची compulsory education the compulsory education also referred to the state since the UDHR was adopted in certain countries where the compulsory education was well established till the first level of stage of formal schooling आपण मान जानिछंती एटा बहुत आगुर होईची 1948 बेले को कोटी कोटी हेलानी जर्मनी स्विट्जरलैंड बेल्जियम कनाडा फिनलैंड फेडरल रिपब्लिक जर्मनी यूएसएसआर 1950 बेले को 50 बेले को एटसो हेई गलानी एम वर्तमान एजुकेशन सिस्टम फिनलैंड रे बहुत ही बेस्ट वर्तमान पृथ्वी सारा फिनलैंड गोटे देश बहुत हाई एजुकेटेड सिस्टम the schooling there are proper both the wider access to primary schooling such as the better opportunity to complete it isn't it they are providing the notion of compulsory education isn't it so you got the point And there is free education. Another point. Free means without wasting any money. Imply that was obligatory of the state to provide for the education of its people. However, the extent of compulsory free education was to be defined by Odisha perspective अलगा. It was also recognized that there was an obvious limit in every country beyond which education cannot be made compulsory without at the same time offering the very idea of education as a fundamental right, isn't it? So Indian constitution रे बहुत गुड़े facilities अच्छी, provisions अच्छी, and you should also know that in case of India, legal status and implications, provision in the constitutions, influence of UDHR, implications of directive principles, commitment to implementation of constitutional directive principles. जोटा ମୁଁ ଆଗରୁ ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କୁ ଟିକେ ଆଗରୁ କହୁଥିଲି ଯେ directive principles, state policy is there, implication is there. So what actually is that? Article 45. Okay. So I am sharing it that Article 45 of the Constitution. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Fine. As you know, it is important to note that the provision of a compulsory education is not intended to penalize the parents for not sending their children to school due to reason of poverty and understanding of originality. But actually, this is an aspect that is least understood and much debated in our literature. ଆମର କମିଟମେଣ୍ଟ କ'ଣ ଅଛି ଟୁ ଇମ୍ପ୍ଲିମେଣ୍ଟେସନ୍ ଅଫ୍ କନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନାଲ ଡିରେକ୍ଟିଭ କ'ଣ ଅଛି ନା ଆର୍ଟିକଲ 45 ତମେ ଆପଣମାନେ ଜାଣିଥିବେ ଯେ ଆମର ଫଣ୍ଡାମେଣ୍ଟାଲ ରାଇଟ୍ କେତେରୁ କେତେ କେତେରୁ କେତେ ଡିପିଏସପି କେତେରୁ କେତେ ଫଣ୍ଡାମେଣ୍ଟାଲ ଡ୍ୟୁଟିଜ ଅଛି ଆଇ ହୋପ୍ ୟୁ ଆର୍ ଆୱେର୍. So Article 45 of the Directive Principles State Policy envisages that provision of free and compulsory education for children. The state shall endeavor to provide within a period of 10 years from the commencement of this constitution. It was the 86th Amendment Act. I hope. एटी अमेंडमेंट एक्ट जोटा आसला हमरो से अनुसार है फॉर फ्री एंड कंपल्सरी एजुकेशन फॉर ऑल चिल्ड्रेन अंटिल दे कंप्लीट द एज ऑफ 14 years माने 6 to 14 years, right? So you can say that the national policy on education 1986 emphasized two aspects new thrust in elementary education. One is universal enrollment, universal retention of children up to 14 years, and second is substantial improvement in the quality of education. In addition, there have been specific amendment of the constitution as can be seen. हमें 42nd देखिले, 73rd amendment देखिले, 74 भी देखिचंती, 83 भी देखिचंती, 86th amendment act देखिचंती, while the 46th amendment act टा कब ही दिला? 1976 रे दिला. जो 46 1976 ହେଇଥିଲା ସେଇ 46 जो सॉरी भूल कहली 1976 जो ହେଇଥିଲା 42 अमेंडमेंट एक्ट सही ता माध्यम रे एजुकेशन टा को कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट रे रखा गला. So this amendment constitution pertain to provision of enable education into the concurrent list in the 42nd amendment act. କେବେ ହେଇଥିଲା 1976 ପରୀକ୍ଷାରେ ଆସେ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ the 42nd amendment act as made in 1976 according to this the education has been included in the concurrent list from the state list ବୁଝିଗଲା are you getting me
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
so 73rd and 74th amendment act ये कौन कले ना मेकिंग एलिमेंटरी एजुकेशन जे फंडामेंटल राइट से कौन कले एलिमेंटरी एजुकेशन का फंडामेंटल राइट रे परिणत करिवा फ्रॉम इट्स प्रेजेंट स्टेटस सो डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल को आसिला केबे ना 86th अमेंडमेंट एक्ट द लास्ट अमेंडमेंट notified in December 2002 December 2002 followed by general legislation central legislation to operationalize the fundamental right December 2002 ସେତେବେଳେ ଆମର କଣ ନା 10th 5 year ପ୍ଲାନ୍ ଚାଲିଛି ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଇଥିଲା yes next planned development of education the planned development of education we'll see that what actually happened overview of developments we'll see declining emphasis the country launched ଆମ ଭାରତ country first time first 5 year plan କେବେ ହେଇଥିଲା 1951 ରେ सेकेंड 5 year प्लान केबे हैला 1955 रु 61 थर्ड 5 year प्लान केबे हैला 1961 रु 1966 सो धीरे धीरे चलेला एमिति 5 year प्लान isn't it and the एतोळे हमरो 7th चलतिला 7th 5 year प्लान 1950 रु 90 सही समय में प्रथम नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी मध्य हेतिला नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी कबे हेतिला 1986 प्रथम हमर जो नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑन एजुकेशनल फॉर्मुलेट हेतिला 1968 सीए किंतु ताकू कोठारी कमिशन रेकमेंडेशन अनुसार एम्फासाइज करा किछि करा जा परे 1985 जो 89 85 रु 90 जो 7th 5 year प्लान हैला सेते बेले नुआ पॉलिसी आसिला एजुकेशन पॉलिसी आसिला रिवाइवल ऑफ इंटरेस्ट हैला So the target date of achieving universal elementary education keeping shift from 1960 to 1972, then to 1976, then 1985 to 90. Ela 7th 5 year plan. तापर 8th 5 year plan केबे हैला 1992 रु 1997. एई प्लान कोन करिछि the focus on education became sharper. The new policy on education 1986 by National Policy on Education, by National Educational Policy, National Educational Policy 1986 reformed its resolve कौन से कला ensure universalization of elementary education both national and international development by so the NPE 86 again revised the date universalization of elementary education in some aspect in 1992 1985 ଯାହା ହେଇଥିଲା 1992 ଆସିଲା କଣ POA ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ଅଫ ଆକ୍ସନ ସେ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ପଲିସି ଅଫ ଏଜୁକେशन ओके देन फॉल्टी प्लानिंग हमर केस थिला प्लानिंग रे भूल भाल किछि थिला काहे कि शिक्षा रे भलो हे पारु नाही कोन द प्रॉब्लम किछि हेछि बिना प्रॉब्लम रे सॉल्यूशन बिना प्रॉब्लम रे हम काहे सफर होबा सो इंडियन पर्सपेक्टिव भारत र पर्सपेक्टिव थिला कोन प्लान्स वर हार्डली प्लान ऑफ एक्शन प्लान बहुत हार्ड करा होतला एक्शन बहुत कम निया होतला so there had been no sound perspective plan for the development of strategic and critical elements relating to the task of development. So there had been no plan of action in the field of education and infrastructure to create facilities ahead of demand in the integrated manner. In words of Professor जोटा हमें शांति निकेतन जने अछंती विश्वभारती शांति निकेतन तांग घर ना हूँ प्रोफेसर अमर्त्य सेन से नोबेल अवार्डी प्रथम भारत रे इकोनॉमिक्स रे से वेलफेयर इकोनॉमिक्स पाई से पाइचंती नोबेल प्राइज से कौन कहिथिले द गोल हैज बीन रेगुलरली रिटेन्ड विदाउट एनी इफेक्टिव स्टेप बीइंग टेकन इन द रीच इट आपण माने खाली कथा कहउचंती किछि लक्ष्य पूर्ण हो नहीं किछि स्टेप नौ नाहंती लक्ष्य पूर्ण करिवा नहीं सो हाउ एजुकेशन स्टैंडर्ड्स विल बी फेल्ट मेट एजुकेशन स्टैंडर्ड केमिति मीट हबो Okay. Next is development in 90s. The World Conference of Education for All in Jometin 1990 रे हितला से कौन एम्फासाइज करतिले से एम्फासाइज करतिले द नीड फॉर मेकिंग इंटरनेशनल फंड वर्ल्ड बैंक भली किछि संस्था रहिबो पृथ्वी रे अवेलेबल विल फंड फॉर अवेलेबल फॉर प्राइमरी एजुकेशन टू द डेवलपिंग वर्ल्ड तापर 1992 रे कोन हला ना इंडिया बिकेम द very important information you should remember in 1992 the India became a signatory of the convention of the right of the child passed in 1989 so subsequently the decade witnessed the institution of many internationally aid programs such as Bihar education program तापरे लोक जुम्बिस शिक्षा कुमारी सेकंड फेज शिक्षक समीक्षा यूपी बेसिक एजुकेशन प्रोग्राम तापर आसिला डीपीपी डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्राइमरी एजुकेशन प्रोग्राम तापर जनसाला सो द नाइन्थ नाइन्थ 5 ईयर प्लान चलला त बळे 1997 2002 it came out with the highest priority attached the attainment of this goal. So the strategy included amendment of the constitution, decentralization of planning, supervision and management through local bodies, district level, block level, local level, as well as national level. कौन हबो ना UEE universalization of elementary education तापर हम जानिले current status achievements and failures कौन रही कौन रही so lack of facilities still remain more than 10,000 inhabitants in country are still without any schooling facilities आपण माने देखंतु सर्च करंतु जानिबे। द एनएफएचएस सेकेंड सर्वे 1999 इंडिकेटेड करथिला कोन ना 79% of 6 to 14 years age group children were attending school and about 42 million children were still out of school. So those outside the school system have been identified as mostly SC/ST girls working in factories, roads, industries, companies, isn't it? Especially children, working children, disabled children, urban deprived children, children in difficult groups, especially educationally backward pockets. Overall, so universal provision of schooling opportunities has suffered severely. तापरे 10th 5 year plan केबे हला ना 2002 रु 2007 आउ 11th 5 year plan बेलकू हमर आसी गला आरटी एक्ट जेतबेला हमर राष्ट्रपति के थिले प्रतिभा देवी सिंह पाटिल। So education policy and decision making in political perspectives will see nature and scope of policy, what actually a policy does. A policy, a process through which any society handles an educational problem. It includes a society's expressed intention and official enactments as well as its consistent patterns of activity and inactivity in the area of education. The process by which government society translate their educational vision into programs and activities to deliver outcomes, that is desired changes in the world, in the real world. So an explicit or implicit single decision or group of decisions that may set out directives for guiding future decisions, initiate or retard action, বা guide implementation of previous decisions also. Right? So policy is therefore, we can say, a course of action rather than everyday decisions or actions, whatever pursued by the analyst. So it is an understanding the general idea of government policy practices designed to encourage expected social behavior is more important in getting with the task of identifying the process which are involved in the emerging life. So education policy will therefore deal with the expected outcome of organization or government. So it is intended to affect the real world by guiding the decisions that are made, whether they are formally written or not. So most organizations have well identified policies. ଆମର ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ନୂଆ ପଲିସି କଣ ଆସିଛି 2020 ରେ କି ପଲିସି ଆସିଛି ଆପଣ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି କହିପାରିବେ କି 2020 ରେ କି ପଲିସି ଆସିଛି ଆମର ହଁ ଭେରି ଗୁଡ୍ So National Education Policy 2020. So the policy labels, policies in global level, policies are at the international level, policies are national level, Police is at state level, police is at district level, police is at block level, police is at institutional level. So there are fields where the policies are done. Global policies, you know that we are living in the technology era. We are living in the technology era or not. The wide use of technology can lead to shift in education provision. That is, providing education to a larger number of learners spread over the wider region, even across national boundaries. ଆପଣ ମାନେ ଅନଲାଇନରେ ଆମେରିକାର ବି ଡିଗ୍ରୀ ହାସଲ କରିପାରିବେ, ୟୁଏସ୍ ରୁ କରିପାରିବେ, ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସରୁ କରିପାରିବେ, ୟୁକ୍ରେନରୁ କରିପାରିବେ, ଜାପାନରୁ କରିପାରିବେ, ଅଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଲିଆରୁ କରିପାରିବେ. So there are websites Coursera, edX जो माध्यम कि ऑनलाइन ग्लोबल प्लेटफॉर्म रे दिया जाउछि शिक्षा. It very less cost दिया जाउछि. So policies at the international level, there are international policies aimed at the education and use of new technology which are being promoted by world bodies such as ଆମର World Bank ଅଛି, UNESCO ଅଛି, SARC ଅଛି. International level ରେ funding help କରିବା ପାଇଁ, and they are also funding as well as they are preparing the policies. International level, national level ଆମେ ଆପଣ ଜାଣିଥିବେ IGNO ଅଛି. Government legislation policy decisions also tend to initiate national development, as in India, where IGNO has been assigned the role of offering distance mode course besides monitoring and augmenting the quality of distance education in the country. So a country's political and legal system also determine the scope of education policy. For example, it could be enshrined in the constitution, your act ho, regulations ho, statute ho, characters ho, by policy, any parameters. And also we have seen that policy institution level le bhi achi. Institution have detailed policies, regulations for admission, range of course, use of media, qualification of staff. आपण माने को कॉलेज रे पढुचंती, you can search it in website को जानतु देखंतु institution रे केते पिला अछंती, यूनिट ड्रेस कोड कोन अछि, पॉलिसीज कोन अछि, यूनिफॉर्म कोन अछि, एडमिशन फी केते अछि, को सार माने अछंती, ताको क्वालिफिकेशन कोन, केते ओना मेल, केते ओना फीमेल, कोन से लाइब्रेरी केमिति अछि, infrastructure केमिति अछि, everything will find and will get it. And the policies are सब यूनिवर्सिटी सब कॉलेज रा पॉलिसीज ताका रूल्स रेगुलेशंस डिफरेंट. Education in the education policy in India, you know, there are many policies from the very beginning of the so we'll talk about Gurukul ko padaya. Education policy in India. India has a long tradition of education starting from the Gurukul system in ancient India, when education was considered as a matter of personal concern. ଆମେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ନିଜେ ବି ପାଠ ପଢୁଛନ୍ତି, ଅନଲାଇନରେ କୋର୍ସ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ଟିଚର ପାଖକୁ ଯାଉନାହାନ୍ତି, ଡିଷ୍ଟାନ୍ସରେ ପାଠ ପଢୁଛନ୍ତି. So ancient education was aimed at the training of the mind and acquisition of knowledge. Three basic process कौन थिला ना कौन श्रवण मनन और निधिध्यासन. शुणिबा गुण गुण हा मनन करबा आउ निधिध्यासन कार्य रे प्रयोग करबा. Shravan was consent with Shrutis, listening, knowledge possessed orally from one generation to the other. Second, Monana. Monon letter what? Think about what they had learned. Making their own inference and assimilating lesson thought. and ଶ୍ରବଣ କ'ଣ ଥିଲା? The stage allowed the learners to comprehend the truth and the relevance of society. ତାର application କ'ଣ ଅଛି, ତାର reality କ'ଣ ଅଛି. So education was utmost mostly upon the Brahmins and Kshatriyas and including women. ଆଉ ଅନ୍ୟ ଜାଗାରେ ଟ୍ରେଡ୍ କରୁଥିଲେ ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ମାନେ. So education among Hindu families served the need of Brahmin families. Now ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ ଆସିଲେ ଆମର various education commissions have therefore emphasized the need of to eradicate the backlog of illiteracy and provide adult education to all. ଏକାଥରକେ ତ ସମସ୍ତେ ଏଜୁକେଟେଡ୍ ହେଇଯିବେନି, ଆଡଲ୍ଟ ବି କିଛି ରହିଗଲେ, କିଛି ସ୍କୁଲ ଛାଡ଼ି ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି, ବଟ୍ ଲେଟର ତାଙ୍କୁ ପଢିବାକୁ ଇଚ୍ଛା ହଉଛି. 1953 ମସିହାରେ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ମଣ ସ୍ୱାଇଁ ମୁଦାଲିୟର ଜଣେ ଥିଲେ, ଜଣେ ବ୍ୟକ୍ତି, ଆପଣମାନଙ୍କ ନାଁ ଶୁଣିଥିବେ. ମୁଦାଲିୟର କମିଶନ ବୋଲି କୁହାଯାଏ 1952-53. So Lakshman Sai Mudaliar in 1953, which made the school a center for teaching, learning activity center. On the basis of Mudaliar Commission report, the aim of secondary education shifted to producing ideal democratic citizens by emphasizing the all-round development of the learner. ତାପରେ ଆସିଲା 1966, 13 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ ଆସିଲା କ'ଣ? କୋଠାରୀ କମିଶନ. 1964 ଆଉ 66 ହେଲା କୋଠାରୀ କମିଶନ. କୋଠାରୀ କମିଶନ ବା ତାକୁ ଆଉ କ'ଣ କୁହନ୍ତି? ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଏଜୁକେସନ କମିଶନ, which was appointed 1964, felt the need of the uniform education structure in India. ସେଇଠୁ ଆସିଲା ଯେ ଆମର ଗୋଟେ यूनिफॉर्म स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ एजुकेशन आसीबो 10+2+3 पैटर्न ऑफ एजुकेशन, यूनिफॉर्मिटी इन द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ एजुकेशन. सो द कोठारी कमिशन कहितला हेते बेले द कोठारी कमिशन गेव प्रायोरिटी टू वोकेशनल एजुकेशन, टेक्निकल एजुकेशन, इंजीनियरिंग एजुकेशन, एग्रीकल्चरल एजुकेशन एंड साइंस एजुकेशन. तापर आसिला 10 वर्ष ପରେ 20 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ 1966 20 ବର୍ଷ ହେଇଗଲା ପୁରା. ହେତେବେଳେ ଆମର ବହୁତ ବୀର ଡେଥ୍ ହେଇଥିଲା, ବହୁତ ମହିମ ହେତେବେଳଙ୍କର ଦେହାନ୍ତ ହେଇଥିଲା. ଯାହା ବି ହଉ, ଏ ମେଜର ଶିଫ୍ଟ ଇନ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ୍ ଏଜୁକେସନ ସିଷ୍ଟମ was in 1986, ଯୋଉଟା ପ୍ରଥମ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ଏଜୁକେସନ ପଲିସି ବା କେହି ନ୍ୟୁ ଏଜୁକେସନ ପଲିସି ବୋଲି କୁହନ୍ତି. later modified 1992 ହେଲା, 6 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ ତା ନାଁ ହେଲା ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ ଅଫ ଆକ୍ସନ POA. ସେ ଟାର୍ଗେଟ କ'ଣ କଲେ ନା all children up to 14 years with quality educational provision before the start of 21 century. 21 century ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେବା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଆମେ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବା ସବୁ ପିଲାଙ୍କୁ ଶିକ୍ଷା ଦେବା ପାଇଁ 6 ରୁ 14 ବର୍ଷ ଭିତରେ. ओके, तापर आसिला नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑन एजुकेशन. नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑन एजुकेशन आसिला केबे 1986 रे. सेतोळे प्रधानमंत्री किए थिले, प्राइम मिनिस्टर थिले किए? राजीव गांधी. सो द मेजर shift in education occurred in 1986 when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India. Se first time announced kale a new education policy referred to as National Policy on Education NPE, which was intended to prepare India for the challenges of 21st century. Okay, कारण असेसमेंट 1968 रे गोटे पॉलिसी हेतिला, बुझिले. As an assessment of 1968 policy showed that the earlier goals of had largely been achieved in the larger part of country. Rural population was thinking a kilometer of schooling facilities. बहुत दूर स्कूल अछि. Most states adopted 10 plus 3, 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern of education structure. And science and mathematics had also been effective prioritized दियागला. However, कौन हैला? The financial and organizational support education system was completely lacking. वैसा आसने बाटक में था was creating problems in all the sector, all the primary level, secondary level, higher education level. So inequality in education system happened. So that's why the erosion of political and social life, isn't it? तापर आसिला we be talk about the main thrust of 1986 कौन थिला 1986 जो हमारा पॉलिसी थिला तो was the promotion of, am I
Yes,
audible
sir.
to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. तापर आसिला हमारा जो हमारा कौन कहते 1986 national policy on education NPE was the promotion of privatization and continued emphasis on secularism and science. So it further identified equality of education or equality not dele kon habo. So India is increasingly being a problem. Developed several initiatives to correct the imbalances. भारत ଯେତେବେଳେ 1986 ପରେ ଦେଖିଲା ଯେ ଭାରତରେ ବହୁତ ପ୍ରକାରର ଇନବାଲାନ୍ସେସ୍ ହେଉଛି ଏଜୁକେସନ କୁ ଆମେ ଇନଇକ୍ୱାଲିଟି ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ଇକ୍ୱାଲିଟି ଦେଇ ହଉନି ସୋ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ କ'ଣ କଲା ଗୋଟେ ପଲିସି ଫାଷ୍ଟ ଷ୍ଟେପରେ ନେଲା ଯେ 1987 88 ରେ ନେଲା ଅପରେସନ ବ୍ଲାକ ବୋର୍ଡ ସ୍କିମ୍ OBB ସେ କ'ଣ ହେଲା that aimed at improving the human and physical resources available in primary schools. मिनिमम गोटे ब्लैक बोर्ड रहिबो स्कूल रे सब प्राइमरी स्कूल रे तापर सेकंड आसिला रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग एंड रिकॉग्नाइजेशन ऑफ टीचर एजुकेशन जो बीएड बा सिटी इंस्टीट्यूट कॉलेज मानकर स्कूल मानकर जो ट्रेनिंग दिया होची ताको रिस्ट्रक्चर करा जिवो रिकॉग्नाइज करा जिवो से आसला 1987 रे ऑपरेशन ऑफ ब्लैक बोर्ड स्कीम एंड ये दिटा सांगर आसिला. So which create a source of continuous upgrading of teachers knowledge and competence. टीचर मान ट्रेनिंग दिया गला प्रिपेयर करा गला से माने ट्रेनिंग हे कि पाए चाकरी बलता पूर्व से माने खाली पाठ पढ़ी कि टीचर नॉर्मल होतले ट्रेनिंग के दिया नतला नॉर्मल 10 कोर्स कले जॉइन करूतले. देन आसिला 1991 रे MLL मिनिमम लेवल्स ऑफ लर्निंग 1991 से कौन कला that laid down levels of achievement at various stages and gave emphasis to revised textbooks. Minimum levels of learning जने केमती पढ़ी परिबो जदी ताको हमें टिके मातृभाषा दे दबा सो टेक्स्ट बुक को रिवाइज करो सिंपलीफाई करो 1991 आसिला जे टेक्स्ट बुक रिवाइज करा जाओ एई समय रे मोर जन्म होइतला. So national program or nutritional support to primary education 1995 रे आसिला national program or nutritional support to primary education से कौन कले ना provide cooked meal खाद्य दिया गला पिला मानकु रोसई खाद्य every day for children in class 1 to 5 all government schools aided and local body schools. रंधा खाद्य दिया गला न्यूट्रिशनल सपोर्ट पाई प्राइमरी लेवल रे. आउ कोन थिला तापर 1900 आउ छाड़ दे गेली 1993 मसिया आस्तिला DPP डिस्ट्रिक्ट प्राइमरी एजुकेशन प्रोग्राम से एम्फसाइज कला कोन ना डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन ऑफ प्लानिंग मैनेजमेंट इंप्रूव टीचिंग लर्निंग मटेरियल्स एंड स्कूल इफेक्टिवनेस सबु टीचर समस्त रेस्पोंसिबिलिटी अछि समस्त भागीदार स्कूल डेवलपमेंट पाई. तापर आसला 2000 रे एजुकेशन फॉर ऑल मूवमेंट टू एजुकेट ऑल एम टू अचीव यूनिवर्सल प्राइमरी एजुकेशन 2010 सुधा माइक्रो प्लानिंग करिकी स्कूल मैपिंग को एक्सरसाइज करिकी आमे प्राइमरी लेवल रे एटा सारिबा एजुकेशन फॉर ऑल समस्त ପାଇଁ करदबा यूनिवर्सल प्राइमरी एजुकेशन 2010 सुधा सरीबो तापर आसिला हम 2001 रे फंडामेंटल राइट एजुकेशन गोटे फंडामेंटल राइट रही फंडामेंटल राइट 2001 as a provided for the Indian Constitution involved that the provision of a free and compulsory education as a basic right for children aged between 6 to 14 years, isn't it? 6 to 14 years. So what happened then? So the NEP also targeted the National Policy on Education NPE 1986. The marginalized groups such as disabled children provided special incentives targeting their parents with the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. देखिले नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी एनपी रे भी एनपी नेशनल पॉलिसी ऑन एजुकेशन में किछि फॉल्ट रही ताकू पुणी री एग्जामिन कराला 6 वर्ष चलला 1992 आसिला प्रोग्राम ऑफ एक्शन when some targets were recast and some reformulations were undertaken in relation to adult and elementary education. जो माने एजुकेशन पाइ ना स्कूल छाड़ी चंती से माने यंग हे गन अडल्ट हे से मानन पई अडल्ट एजुकेशन दिया जीवो अडल्ट एजुकेशन सेंटर बाहरला so the 1992 re-examination of NPE laid emphasis was on the expansion of secondary education 9-10 while focusing education for minorities women continued to be priority. So it equally gave importance to the development of non-formal education also through a centrally sponsored scheme to educate school dropouts, working children and children from areas without schools. So area school nahi hill areas, those who are staying in the slum areas where communication is very difficult or communication gap is there, so many facilities were given. So in this way, the government of India have taken the help of the policies to introduce in the school system, education system, right? So we can talk about that education policy in India covered in these stages, and you know that now there are national policy on education NEP, national education policy NEP 2020, which is being highlighted and being discussed. It will be just implemented in the higher level, higher education level, and shortly will be implemented in the school level. Okay, so thank you dear students for the session. If anybody a question comes to your mind, you can ask me. Any doubt or anything you want to add, not only doubts, if anything I have left, you may also add, please. Anything want to add? Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
କିଛି ବୁଝି ହଉଛି କି ନାହିଁ?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So try to focus on the subject and try to realize the concepts. What is going to discuss or we are discussing. Okay. This paper may not be interesting, but helpful for using net and JRF. Okay. Important thing. Okay, thank you, dear students. Anything comes to your mind? Any question comes to your mind? Or we'll stop the class. Anything you want to add? Anything you want to ask? Any doubts? Any confusion? Anything new to add? Aspini
Sir,
Kumari.
post. Hello.
Aspini
Sir.
Kumari, are you here? Aspini,
Yes, sir.
are you listening me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Rubina Sahu, are you listening me? Hello? Hello, Rubina Sahu, are you listening me? You are on. You are mute. Okay, fine. So ठीक अछि पिलामाने यदि किछि confusion आसे next class रे पचारि परियो no issue. Thank you. Thank you for today's your patience. Okay. So we may leave.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
एक्सक्यूज मी कि कहबे कि पुराना क्लास गुड़ा केमिति पाई परिए
पुराना क्लास ना कोन कहउछन्ती? Just communicate. I will communicate them. Okay. ठीक अछि. Thank you, dear students. Thank you very much.
सर मानଙ୍କର ଯେତିକି ବି ପଢା ହେଇଛି ତାର ସ୍ଲାଇଡ୍ସ ଯାକ ପିପିଟି ଯାକ ମିଳିଥିଲେ ଟିକେ ସୁବିଧା ହେଇଥାନ୍ତା ସାର୍ ଆମକୁ।
ଆପଣ କ୍ଲାସ ରେ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ମ୍ୟାଡାମ?
ସାର୍ ଆଜି ମୋର ରହିପାରିଲିନି, ମୋର ସ୍କୁଲରୁ ଆସିଲା ଆଡୁ ଟିକେ ଡେରି ହେଇଯାଉଛି ସାର୍।
କାଲି ଥିଲେ?
ମୋର ସ୍କୁଲରୁ ଆସିଲା ଆଡୁ ଟିକେ ଅସୁବିଧା ହଉଛି ସାର୍। ମୋର ଟିକେ ଡିଷ୍ଟାନ୍ସ ରେ ସ୍କୁଲ ହେଇଯାଉଛି ତ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ପହଞ୍ଚିଲା ଆଡୁ ମୁଁ 6ଟା ଅଧେ ହେଇଯାଉଛି।
ଆପଣ କୋଉଠି ଜବ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି କି?
ସାର୍ ମୋର ଭଞ୍ଜନଗର ପାଖରେ ଜବ୍ କରୁଛି, ମୁଁ ରହୁଛି ବ୍ରହ୍ମପୁରରେ।
Okay, okay, fine. We will intimate the concerned person to share the slides. I will share all the slides. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome. Thank you. Thank you, dear students. Thank you very much for joining today. So we will see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
अच्छा किए गोटे कहूला काली ग्रुप रे ऐड करने कहीं ऐड कलेनी? हेलो
से नाही जेमिति लाଗୁଛି
ସେ ଗ୍ରୁପ ବନଉଛନ୍ତି ଆଟଲିଷ୍ଟ ଆମକୁ ଇନଫର୍ମ କରିବା କଥା ନା ନାଇଁ ଗ୍ରୁପ ବନା ହେଇଛି ନମ୍ବର ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ କି କଣ ବୋଲି କିଛି ବି ଜଣଉନାହାନ୍ତି।
ଏଇଠି ତ ନମ୍ବର ନେଇ ଯଦି ତ ବହୁତ ବଢିଆ ହନ୍ତା ଲିଙ୍କ ବି କିଛି ପଠାଲି ନାହିଁ ଆଉ ଯାହା ଯେ
ହଁ କ୍ଲାସ ସରିଲା ମାତ୍ରେ ସେ ଯଦି ନମ୍ବର ନେଇକି ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ଆଡ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତା ଆମେ ତ ଜାଣିପାରନ୍ତୁ ନା କିଛି ବି କହୁନାହାନ୍ତି।
ହଁ
କିଏ ଗ୍ରୁପ
ଆଉ ସାର୍
ବନେଇଛନ୍ତି
ବି
କିଛି ବି କହୁନାହାନ୍ତି।
ହଁ ଗ୍ରୁପ ବନା ହେଇଛି ଗ୍ରୁପ ବନା ହେଇଛି ଆମ ନମ୍ବର ଟା ସିନା ଏତେ
ସେଣ୍ଡ
ସିନା ଆଡ
କରୁଛି
କରିପାରୁ
ଲିଙ୍କ ସେୟାର କରୁଛି ୱେଟ୍ କରନ୍ତୁ।
ହଉ
କୋଉଥିରେ ସେଣ୍ଡ କରିବେ କି ଆପଣ ମେଲରେ ବୋଧେ ସେଣ୍ଡ କରିବେ।
ଇନକଲ ମେସେଜେସ୍ ଇନ ଦିସ୍ ଗ୍ରୁପ
ହଁ
ମିଟିଂ।
ଠିକ ଅଛି।
କୋଉ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର କହିଲେ?
ଇଗ୍ନୋ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର।
ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର।
ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର ବୋଲି କିଛି ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର ନାହିଁ। NDWTCT और ରାଧାନାଥ ଅଛି ନଳିନ ଦେବୀ ପୁରୀ और ବାରିପଦା କୋଉ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର?
ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର ତ ଆମର ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର ହିଁ ଥିଲା।
ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର ମ୍ୟାଡାମ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର ଯେ ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର କୋଉଟା ନଳିନ ଦେବୀ ନା କଣ କଟକର ରାଧାନାଥ ନା କଣ?
ନାଇଁ ସେ ଇଗ୍ନୋର ଇନ୍ଦିରା ଗାନ୍ଧୀ ଓପନ ୟୁନିଭରସିଟି। ସେଇଠି ହିଁ ଆମର ଥିଲା ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର।
ସେ ଜାଣିନାହାନ୍ତି ବୋଧେ ଆପଣ ମେଲ୍ ଚେକ୍ କରନ୍ତୁ ସେଥିରେ ଜଣା ପଡିବ।
ଆପଣ ଭଲସେ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର କୋଉଟା ସେ ଆକର୍ଡିଙ୍ଗଲି ଆପଣ ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ଜଏନ୍ ହେବେ।
ରାଧାନାଥ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର ଅଛି କି ଗ୍ରୁପ?
ହଁ ଅଛି ଅଛି।
ଆଡ୍ କରିକି ମତେ।
ନମ୍ବରଟା ଗୋଟେ ମିନିଟ୍ ଦେଇଦିଅ।
ଏଥିରେ ମେଲ୍ କରିବେ କି?
ମେସେଜ କରିଦିଅ ନହେଲେ ଇନକଲ ମେସେଜରେ
ଓକେ। सेंड कर दीजिए ऐड कर दीजिए प्लीज।
ओके ओके।
थैंक यू।
ୟେସ୍।
ତମେ ଏବେ କ୍ଲାସ କରୁଛ ନା ଆଗରୁ କ୍ଲାସ କରୁଥିଲ?
ହଁ ମୁଁ ଆଗରୁ କେତେଟା କ୍ଲାସ କରିଛି ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଆବସେଣ୍ଟ ଥିଲି କ୍ଲାସ କରିନି।
କ୍ଲାସରେ ତ ଯେତେବେଳେ କରୁଥିଲ ସେତେବେଳେ ତ ଲିଙ୍କ ଆସୁଥିଲା ତମେ ଜଏନ୍ ହଉନଥିଲ?
ହଁ ମୋ ପାଖକୁ ଯୋଉ ଲିଙ୍କ ଆସିଥିଲା ମେଲରେ ଆସିଥିଲା ମୁଁ ସେଇଥିରେ ହିଁ ଜଏନ ହଉଥିଲି।
ନାଇଁ ଏଥିରେ ଇନକଲ ମେସେଜରେ ଜଏନ୍ ହେଇଥିଲେ ସେଥିରେ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଥିଲା ଗ୍ରୁପରେ ଆଡ୍ ହେଇଥାନ୍ତ। ତମର କୋଉ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର ତମେ ଜାଣିନ କି?
ମୁଁ ଟିକେ ଚେକ୍ କରିଦଉଛି।
ହଁ ଚେକ୍ କର ଯଦି RNT କି ନହେଲେ ନଳିନୀ ଦେବୀ ହେଇଥିବ ତାର ଦିଟା ଗ୍ରୁପ ହେଇଛି ସେଇଥିରେ ଆଡ୍ ହେଇପାରିବ ଆଉ ବାକି କଣ ହେଲେ ମୁଁ କହିପାରିବିନି।
ହଁ ଠିକ ଅଛି।
ଓକେ ହଁ।
କାହିଁକିନା ମୋ ପାଖକୁ ଯୋଉ କ୍ଲାସର ଲିଙ୍କ ହିଁ ମେଲରେ ହିଁ ଆସିଥିଲା।
ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟରେ ତମକୁ ଗୋଟେ ମେସେଜ ଆସିଥିବ ତମର ଫର୍ମ ଆକ୍ସେପ୍ଟ ହେଇଛି କହିକି ସେଇଥିରେ ହିଁ ତମର ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର ଥିବ ନାଇଁ ଯଦି ତମର ଆପ୍ଲିକେସନ ଯୋଉ ଫର୍ମ ଥିବ ସେଥିରେ ହିଁ ଥିବ ନାଇଁ ଯଦି ତମେ ଅନଲାଇନ ବି ଚେକ୍ କରିପାରିବ।
ଓକେ ମୁଁ ଚେକ୍ କରିକି ତାହେଲେ ଜଣେଇବି କାଲି ଆଉ।
ଓକେ। ତମକୁ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଇନଭାଇଟ୍ ଯାଇଛି, ଆକ୍ସେପ୍ଟ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ। ଆସିନି କିଏ? ଆସିନି ହେଲା।
ଆଉ ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ଆସିଛି ସେ ଯୋଉ ଇନବକ୍ସ ମେସେଜରେ ଆରସି ଭୁବନେଶ୍ଵର, ସେଥିରେ ଗୋଟେ ଲିଙ୍କ ବି ଅଛି।
ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ ଶୁଣନ୍ତୁ, ଅଛି ଯେ ସେଟା ରିଜନାଲ ସେଣ୍ଟର ଭୁବନେଶ୍ଵର, କିନ୍ତୁ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର ଅଲଗା ରହୁଛି। ପୁରୀରେ କି ବାରିପଦାରେ କି କଟକରେ, ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର ନଳିନୀ ଦେବୀ ଗୋଟେ ଅଛି। ତମର କୋଉଠି ସେଟା ତମେ ଫାଷ୍ଟ କନଫର୍ମ କର। ଯଦି ତମେ ଆରଏନଟି କଟକରେ ଅଛି, ଯୋଉଟା ଫାଷ୍ଟରେ ଥିଲା ରେଭେନ୍ସା କଲେଜ ଥିଲା, ସେଟା ଏବେ ଚେଞ୍ଜ ହେଇକି ରାଧାନାଥ ହେଇଛି ହେଲା।
ହଁ
ଯଦି ତମର ସେଠି ଅଛି ଦେନ୍ ଆରଏନଟି ରେ ଅଛି, ଦେନ୍ ଆମେ ସେଇ ଗ୍ରୁପ, ମୁଁ ସେଠି ମୋର ଅଛି, ତ ଆମେ କେତେ ଜଣ ଅଛୁ ସେଟା ଗୋଟେ ଗ୍ରୁପ ହେଇଛି। ଆଉ ନଳିନୀ ଦେବୀରେ ବି ଗୋଟେ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଅଛି, ସେଥିରେ
ଆଉ
ତମେ
ସେଇଟା
ଏଡ୍ ହେଇପାରିବ।
ଇନବକ୍ସ ମେସେଜରେ ହିଁ ଆସିଛି ସେଟା।
କୋଉଟା ଯେ?
ଯୋଉ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର ଟା ଆସିବ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଇନବକ୍ସ ରେ ହିଁ, ଯୋଉ ଆସିଛି ଗ୍ରୁପ ଟା କହୁଥିଲେ ତ ଇନବକ୍ସ ମେସେଜରେ।
ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ, ମେଲ ରେ ଯାଇଥିବ, ନହେଲେ ତମେ ଯୋଉ ଫର୍ମ ଆପ୍ଲାଏ କରିଥିଲ ସେ ଫର୍ମ ର ତ
ହଁ
ପିଡିଏଫ ଥିବ ନା ତମ ପାଖରେ, ଆପ୍ଲିକେସନ ଫର୍ମ ର।
ହଁ 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 ଅଛି ସେଇଟା।
ହଁ, ସେଥିରେ କୋଉ ନମ୍ବର ଲେଖା ହେଇଛି ଆମର, ଇଏ ଚେଞ୍ଜ ହେଇକି ଆରଏନଟି ଥିଲା। ମୁଁ ଦେଖି ଟିକେ ଗୋଟେ ମିନିଟ୍ କହୁଛି। ଆରଏନଟି ଥିଲା ଆମର 2100 କେତେ ଥିଲା? ଏକୋଇଶଶହ ଷାଠିଏ ହଉଛି ନଳିନୀ ଦେବୀ 2160, ଯୋଉ ତାର କୋଡ ନମ୍ବର ଟା। ଆଉ ଆରଏନଟି ର କୋଡ ନମ୍ବର ଚେଞ୍ଜ ହେଇଛି, ଆଗରୁ ଥିଲା 2101 ଥିଲା, ସେଟା ଚେଞ୍ଜ ହେଇକି
ହଁ
ହେଲା। ତମେ ଫାଷ୍ଟ ମେସେଜ ଦେଖ ତମର କୋଉ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର କୋଉଟା, ତାପରେ କହିଲେ ଆଡ୍ କରିଦବୁ ହେଲା।
ହଁ ହଉ ଠିକ ଅଛି। ଯୋଉ ଅନଲାଇନ ରେ କେମିତି ଟିକେ
ହଉ।
ଚେକ୍ ହବ କହିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ, ନହେଲେ ମୁଁ ଚେକ୍ କରିଦେବି। ଅନଲାଇନରେ କେମିତି ଚେକ୍ କରିବି?
ଅନଲାଇନରେ ଇଏ ଯାଇକିରି ମାନେ ଇଗ୍ନୋର ଅଫିସିଆଲ ୱେବସାଇଟ ଯାଇକି ଚେକ୍ କରିବ। ତମ ରେଜିଷ୍ଟ୍ରେସନ ନମ୍ବର ମାରିବ, ସେ ଲିଙ୍କ ଟା ଗୋଟେ ଅଛି।
ହଁ।
ସବୁ ଲିଙ୍କ ନା ସେୟାର ହଉଛି, କୋଉଥିରେ କହିଲ? ଆଡମିସନ ଷ୍ଟାଟସ ଏଠି ମୁଁ ପଠେଇ ଦଉଛି। ଯେତେବେଳେ କ୍ଲାସ
ଓକେ
ହଉଛି ସେତେବେଳେ ଇନକଲ ମେସେଜ ରେ ଲିଙ୍କ ସବୁ ସେୟାର ହଉଛି, ଟିକେ ଦେଖୁଥାଅ ହେଲା। ମୁଁ ସେୟାର କଲି ଦେଖ, ସେ ଲିଙ୍କ ଟା ଓପେନ କର। ତମେ
ହଁ
ଏଥିରେ ତମର ଆଡମିସନ ଷ୍ଟାଟସ ଦେଖିବ, ଏଥିରେ ତମର ଲେଖା ହେଇଥିବ ଯେ କୋଉ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସେଣ୍ଟର, ହେଲା କି।
ହଁ ଠିକ ଅଛି।
ହଉ ରଖିଲି।
ଓକେ।